friend. Welcome to today's episode of the Butterfly Conversations. It's so good to see you here again today. Really, I'm so excited. I have a question to ask. How did 2024 start for you? I'll go first. So for me, it's been a period of highs and lows. I've had days where I go, this is it. And I've had days where I'm like, okay, the year is new. What's happening? What's going on? I've had days like that. But I have an encouragement for you, especially for the bad days. I get to remind myself that they are just seconds and seconds go by in no time. Like it goes by just quickly, poof, and it's gone. So in all of the seconds of discouragement, in all of the seconds where you're not satisfied with what's happening, one news, it's going to pass quickly. So stay true to the course. Don't waver. Keep going. And believe me, it's going to be an amazing year for each and every one of us. Again, welcome to the Butterfly Conversations. My name is Nihilalawa Taiwo, and of course, you can call me your dear Ruby. It's good to see you today. Come around and let's walk through a painted scenario together. In December, I bought a ticket to a Davido concert and it cost me a whopping 107,500. On the day of the concert, I all of a sudden started throwing up. But what's a little throwing up to the joy that a Davido concert will bring? You'll ask me the same, right? So I stepped out to warm my car, only to realize that my car wasn't starting. Hey God. Exactly. I couldn't find an immediately available mechanic, so car cancelled. Let's run to alternative transportation. Bolt, no ride. Uber, no ride. InDrive, cancelled. What's my way forward? Like the world was against me, it started raining heavily. So let's go through all my troubles together. First thing, I fall sick all of a sudden. I started throwing up. Second thing, my car wasn't starting. I don't know what the issue was. It worked fine yesterday. It just stopped starting. Number three, I can't find any alternative means to transport myself for the concert. Number four, it starts to rain heavily. What would you do if you were in my shoes? What will you do if you're in the same condition? Welcome to the episode of the sunk cost fallacy. So, sunk cost fallacy, I came across this theory in the book I read in December. Dear Alona, here is it. Yeah. So, Dear Alona, letters to my friends, the brides and brides to be. And I really recommend this book to every woman, especially the single ladies waiting for the right person. I came across the fallacy in this book and it got my interest piqued. I, of course, went to Google, started to read about the sunk cost fallacy. I wanted to know everything I could about it. In the book, the author, Joy Ehonwa, so I'll not call her surname again so I don't murder it, talks about the sunk cost theory. She did not dig so deep, so I went searching. I found a lot of things and I thought, why not share this on the vlog? So, what is the sunk cost fallacy? The sunk cost fallacy is a phenomenon whereby a person is reluctant to abandon a strategy or action because they have invested heavily in it, even when it is very clear that abandonment will be more beneficial at that stage. I hope you understand. So, say for example, you started a project and it's beginning to look like a white elephant project, something that's never going to work. But you've gone so far, you've sunk in your money, time, you've put in a lot of resources into making this project work. And all of a sudden, it's beginning to look like you're chasing flying tigers. And because you've sunk in a lot of these resources into it, you'll be like, oh no, I'm not dropping this. We're going to see this to the end. We have to complete this. That is basically the sunk cost. So a cost that is sinking. It's that simple. It's just our tendency to follow through on an endeavor if we have already invested resources into it, whether or not the current cost outweigh the benefits. Of course, there is the sunk cost fallacy in business, in our finances, in our relationships, in everything that we get to do in life. I was reading something on social media a few days ago, and the person was talking about how it bought the dip. I just kept laughing. Basically, a stock keeps going down, but you want to buy it with the hope that, oh, it's going to rise again. I did something like that before. When Bed Bath and Beyond filed for bankruptcy, but there was, I can't remember what name it's called. It was more like people were betting on it or something. And I put in a lot of money into it. I bought the stock, I think, on Bamboo. And I said I was going to put it in for 3 to 5 days. And after 5 days, it would have risen. And, and I'll withdraw my money. My darling, 1 naira of that money, I didn't see. So we get the sunk cost in finances, in relationships. So I've been with this person for so long. It's not going to be nice to let him go. It's not going to be nice to let her go. Relationships, in business. You've invested in something. You've started the business. It's obviously not working, but you just want to continue because you believe, oh, it's going to pick up someday. But you know deep within you that this already is a sunk cost. So why do we fall into the sunk cost? First thing I put down is the fact that we tend to make decisions based on our past cost instead of our present and future costs or benefits. We start to look at, oh, this is what I did as at yesterday. This is what I did 2 years ago. I've put in so much for this business to fail. I've put in so much for this relationship to fail. Oh, we spent the last year together. We have such sweet memories together. While all of that is true, how about the present cost? How about the future cost? How about the future benefits? These are things that we need to look at when it comes to the sunk costs. Second thing for me is loss aversion. It's basically that the impact of losses feels worse than the impact of gains. I understand that loss can be painful. When you lose money, even the person, whatever it is you're losing, loss can be very painful. But what about the gains that are maybe not very visible to you? Why are we bent on counting our losses instead of looking out for our gains? The gain may not weigh equally as compared to the loss, but the gain is still there. We begin to feel like our past investments will be lost if we don't follow through on the decision. And truly, our past investments may actually get lost. But when you cannot move on from the past investments, you would actually lose out on the gains that you're meant to get in the future. So we need to weigh the losses, we need to weigh the gains, and then you need to make the proper decision. Of course, not an emotional decision. I'm talking about sunk cost fallacy because we're in a new year. And in the new year, we tend to do the whole new year, new me thingy. We tend to begin new projects. We want to make changes in different areas of our lives. But with these things, there is a tendency to continue to flog a dead horse with all of our plans. Sometimes the horse is dead and all you need to do is bury it and keep moving. Or you want to keep pushing a dead horse. A dead horse is practically useless to you. Maybe it's useful as tinko, but yeah, it's useless because a dead horse cannot serve you. A horse is meant to take you to your destination. It's meant to carry you. You're not meant to push a horse. So sometimes with our plans, what we're doing is just continually flogging a dead horse. And that is going to take us nowhere. Now, I'm going to go into how to avoid the sunk cost fallacy. I'm going to start by reading a scripture from the book of Luke. Luke chapter 14, verse 28 to 29. It says, "But don't begin until you count the cost. For who will begin construction of a building without first calculating the cost to see if there is enough money to finish it. Otherwise, you might complete only the foundation before running out of money, and then everyone would laugh at you. Let's even forget the everyone laughing at us. Who cares? By the way, I love my Bible so much. It's my study Bible. And one of the things I love about it, like I get to color, and it's a stress reliever for me. I mostly just color a part and abandon the rest. But yeah, I love you so much. That verse talks about counting our costs, and it can be related to, the sunk cost fallacy, because a lot of times we fall into the sunk cost fallacy because we didn't do proper planning from the beginning. We didn't count the cost at the get go. So, my first way for you to avoid, or for us, because I'm guilty as charged, the first way for us to avoid the sunk cost fallacy is count the cost. Don't just run into a project. Don't run into something because it seems like the fad, because it's going to seem good if you do it, because you think you should be doing it at that stage of your life. First things first, count the cost. I don't even care about people laughing at you. Whoever wants to laugh will laugh. If you don't get a good laugh out of life, sorry for you. So laugh. I can't be bothered about people laughing, but I'm bothered about what it will do to me and you when we get into things that cannot be completed, or that we do not have the capacity to complete. So my first step, count the cost before you begin to sink in anything to it. Next step for me is to review every step of the way. Yes, I was going to say it's funny how review keeps coming back, but it's not funny. Review should actually be every step of the way of our life. In my last video, I talked about how important it is to do reviews every step of the way. In fact, I said we should review every day that we live. I believe that we should sit at the end of every day to check out what we did right, what we did wrong, how we acted, and how best we should have done different things. So review at every step of the way. That way, we may not have to sink in a lot of resources into things we are doing that it takes so much from us. And when it's time to leave, or when it's time to move on to something else, we find it so difficult to move on. So review every step of the way. The third thing, recognize the value in loss. This sounds funny because what is the value in loss? When you look closely, you'll find the value in loss. You'll understand that not all relationships are going to lead to marriage. You'll understand that not all financial decisions will lead to you being financially free. You'll understand that not all businesses are for you. You are not meant to do that business. You're probably not even such a business person, but there you are, forcing yourself to become something you're not. Why not find your area of strength and, flourish in your area of strength instead of struggling at that one thing that you know is not your forte, you have no interest in, yet, oh, I've put in a lot of money, I've put in a lot of time, I've put in a lot of resources, and you don't want to let it go. Let it go and recognize the value in loss. Next thing for me, take your emotions totally out of the equation. Personally, I get to attach a lot of emotions into certain decisions. I start to think about the time that I've invested in something. I start to think about the money. Oh, I've done this. And it's funny how all of these things we think about are things that we can get back. Maybe you cannot get your time back, but you can get that money back. In fact, it's gone. It's not more useful. So why are you holding on to it as the reason not to move on from that sunk cost? Remove your emotions, remove all the thoughts about what you've done and what you've not done, and move on from that sunk cost. It's sunk. It's gone. Move on. The fifth thing for me is change your perspective. Change how you see things. E.g., change how you see loss. Loss isn't all bad. Change how you see that person. That person is not what you thought the person was or will be. Change how you see that business. Change your perspective. Look in a totally different way. And I bet you'll be seeing the right things when you change your perspective. I hear someone say it may be different when it comes to sunk cost fallacies in relationships. I'll give you a few tips. One, acknowledge the need to move on in a relationship. When you need to move on, dust your crocs and move on. Number two, get a trusted confidant. Get someone you can talk to. Get someone you can relate with on your struggles. Get someone to hold your hands. Then do a closure ritual in your head. You don't need closure from that person. Meditate on the good times. Oh, there were good times for a reason. Meditate on those good times. Tell yourself, oh, it needed to happen for a reason. But close the chapter and move on. In your head. Don't go back to somebody and look for closure. Please, I don't encourage looking for closure up and down. Just move and, count your losses. And lastly, plan for the future. And this plan for the future is not just for relationships, it's for everything, your finances, your business. Plan the future. What are you going to do next? What is your next strategy? Do you want to do a research on another business to get into? Do you want to go out more? Whatever it is, just sit down. The way we did reviews, sit down and plan, then you review again, then you plan again, and you review again. Now, some costs will never ever be recovered, regardless of whether the project is continued or abandoned. But you need to be able to make the right decisions for you. You need to be able to sit down and think about what is best for you. Do I continue this? Do I abandon this? But when it's a sunk cost, there is no need to continue. Count your losses, count your gains, and move on. This is the sunk cost fallacy episode. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of the Butterfly Conversations. And I really do hope that you learned something. It could be that you're just hearing about sunk cost fallacy for the first time. It could also be that you know about sunk cost fallacy, but you never put it into practice. It could be that you're in a sunk cost right now and you're confused on whether to abandon it or continue. Let this be your nudge. Abandon that sunk cost. YouTube is not a sunk cost for me. YouTube is not a sunk cost for me. So do me a favor. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Share with many other people. I would love it. And get them to subscribe to this channel as well. It will do my heart great joy. Also, don't forget to click the like button on this post. Please do so. And please leave a comment, whatever comment it is. Well done. If you're dealing with a sunk cost, if you're going to abandon a sunk cost, share everything with me. I'll love to read them and I definitely will respond. Again, thank you for joining me on today's episode of The Conversations. It was good to have you here. I'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.